All right, guys. Hey, Miss Traver here. We're going to do multi-step inequalities now. So we're going to jump right into them pretty quickly. I want to show you 4 different examples is my goal, and we're going to get progressively more multi-step as we go. So my first one is going to have variables on both sides. So let's have a plus 3a is less than 7a plus 12. So variables on both sides, we want to get a by itself. Again, we're going to follow the same rules as we would for normal solving equations. The only thing we have to watch out for is if we multiply or divide by a negative to flip our inequality. So other than that, everything is normal. So let's go ahead and proceed as such. I want to get a's by itself. Looking at the left, I can simplify 3a plus a is 4a. And on the right, there's nothing that's a like term, so that's going to stay the same right now. Let's get all of our a's on the same side. So I've got a's and numbers on the right. Let's get rid of this 7a by subtracting it from both sides. 4a minus 7a is negative 3a. And then I can drop down my inequality and my 12. All right. At this point, we want to get rid of the negative 3 as the coefficient. So let's divide both sides by negative 3. At this point, while you're doing this step, big flashing lights are happening and sirens and everything, because right here, we multiplied or divided by a negative. So in this step that I performed to both sides, I need to reverse this sign. So no longer is it less than, but now it's greater than, and then we can continue with the rest of it as we would. Our a is on the left by itself, and on the right, I have negative 4. We can go ahead and graph these guys in the number line now. So I've got negative 4 in the middle, negative 5 to the left smaller than it, and negative 3 to the right bigger than it. And it looks like we're going to have an open dot, and a is bigger than it, so I'm going to shade to the right. Go back to the last video if you need some more help on how to shade these parts in. That was the first 2 examples on the 3.1 through 3.3 notes. I'm going to keep chugging along here though, so I can get it under 10 minutes for you as a video. So next one, I'll have distributing on this one. So negative 3 times the quantity, 10 minus 5a, is greater than or equal to 45. So looking at the left-hand side, I want to distribute that negative 3 in. And I always draw these arrows. It's not just for fun, but I do it to remind myself that this is going to get distributed and multiplied by every term. I see a lot of students multiply it into the first term and forget to do the second or the third or so on. So the arrow helps me remember to multiply it into every single term. So my first arrow, negative 3 times 10 is negative 30. And negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15a. And the rest will drop down. Oops, wrong way. All right, this is a 2-step equation now, so I want to get all the a's on one side. They already are, so let's get all the numbers to the other side as well. Let's add 30 to both sides. And then everything else can drop down, my 15a, my inequality, and I can solve here to get 75. Last step, right now 15 is getting multiplied by a, so divide both sides by it to make it go away. I now have a is greater than or equal to 15 goes into 60 4 times like the clock. So this is just one more than that. So that's 5 times that 15 goes into 75. Set our graph up. And we've got a closed dot at 5. And a is bigger than or equal to 5. It's greater than, so we're going to shade to the greater than side. Again, you can plug in either of these guys in order to see if it's true, shade that side. If it's false, don't. If I plugged in the 6, I'd have 6 is greater than 5. That's the true side. 4 is not greater than 5, so that's the false side. I'm not shading. All right, so I did one with variables on both sides, one with distributing. This time I'm going to do a combination of the two. So variables on both sides and distributing. Oh my gosh, and there's a fraction. What are we going to do? So let's see, I've got 1/2 times the quantity 4x minus 12. is greater than 4x plus 12. So let's first distribute the 1/2 in to both. I'm going to give you a moment to do this part on your own and get to the next step where you have both the variables or all the variables on the same side. So I'm going to freeze my screen, and I'd like you to try to copy with me and see how it goes. All right, let's see how you did. So again, we were getting to the point where all the variables are on the same side. So if you have something that looks like this, or maybe it's on the other side, then that works too. So distribute the 1/2. 1/2 of 4 is 2. 1/2 of -12 is -6. And then I dropped the rest down. Getting the variables to the same side, you could either have subtracted 2x from both sides or 4x from both sides, depending on how you look at it. So I subtracted 2x and moved that over, and then did this math here. So let's get this two-step equation solved for at this point. I'm going to do it again, freeze my screen. I'd like you to finish this whole problem out and pause the video so that you can check with me. So again, pause your video because when you click play again, I will have it completed. All right, let's see how you did. So let's see, I have finished this one out, and I have -9 is less than x. So I'm shading to the right of -9 and have an open dot there. Check your work with mine and see how it looks. A common mistake that I see is right here. Notice the step that we took is to divide by 2 on both sides. Even though I got a negative answer, my step was to divide by +2, not -2. So there was no reason to flip my sign here. Only if the step you're performing to both sides is to multiply or divide by a negative do you need to worry about flipping. If the math works out, or if the division or multiplication you work out is a negative, that doesn't matter too much. It's only if the step you took, so my red piece here. Here's our last one. We are working ourselves up. Now we have distribution and variables on both sides. This is the last kind that I'm going to do with you. So let's go ahead and distribute on both sides together. So we'll distribute the -3 in and the 2 in. So I have -3 times 1 is -3. -3 times -x is +3x. The only thing I'm dropping down right now is my less than or equal to. The rest I'm performing. So over here I've got 10x plus 18. Now I can get all my variables to the same side. Notice where I'm at now with variables and numbers on the same side on each side is similar to where I was at number 1. So let's get all our variables to the same side. Let's move our 3x over so all the x's live on the right now. So I'm dropping down to -3, a less than or equal to, and this is going to give me a 7x. Subtracting 18 from both sides to get all the numbers on the same side as well. So 18, 19, 20, 21. So I have -21 on the left and 7x on the right. And then last step, get your x by itself by dividing both sides by 7. The step I performed was to multiply or divide by a positive, so this time I'm not flipping a sign again. So I've got final answer, -3 less than or equal to x. Fill in your graph. And let's see, it is a closed dot. And if I read it from the x side, x is bigger than or equal to -3, x is greater than. So I'm going to shade to the right. If I had plugged in a -2, it would make a true statement. If I plugged in a -4, it would give me false. So again, I only had one on this one where this was the case, but anytime our step is to multiply or divide by a negative, that is where the sign flipping will happen. If you want to go back to the last video where I did one and two steps, then you'll see another couple examples of those as well. Hopefully this helps out. See you next time.